lap. Hi, everybody. It's time to meditate. um, so welcome. I've got a power-packed 30 minutes mapped out for us, and some meditative techniques that I'm really excited to share with you all today. I've really been enjoying these daily tune-ins that we've been having, and hope that they've been, serving a purpose for you as well. And don't forget that if you can't show up for the live meeting, that there's always going to be a replay that will be on the Integrative Practices website. I'm also uploading them onto YouTube and putting them on Yammer. So really going about covering all of our virtual bases so that we can take care of ourselves in this time in a way that's really meaningful and really impactful. So, we're doing all of our working and all of our relating virtually right now, right? Like everything is digital. And I've been meeting with a good number of people in our community digitally, and connecting with, what the cascade of needs are. And, we're kind of oscillating back and forth, right? Which is kind of typical in the polarity planet that we're in. We're oscillating back and forth between feeling like it's sucking us out and drying us up, and then the other side of that coin is feeling like it's sensitizing our system and making us, giving us the keys to how we can become kind of archangel avatar versions of ourselves, if you will. And so I'm interested in that second expression of how we can be relating to this training time of the corona chrysalis that we're in. So last week I was talking in one of our meetings around how every disappointment is an appointment with opportunity for transformation, a kind of date with destiny, right? Every disappointment is that, or it can be that, if we do the self-psychology to get us there. So we can relate to our own resistance in a similar way. Our resistance is a great good assistant for us in this time, because every time we witness ourselves going into a resistant mind state, or if we're feeling it physically in the tissues of our body, or in the absence of flow in our outlook, that moment, those coordinates of resistance are actually encoded with the exact biodynamic for awakening, for transformation. So we can get really clever around taking that resistant moment and working with the polarity. We can either let the resistance become more dense and potentially destructive, or we can take it vertical and we can let the energy, and there's a ton of energy in every polarity, so it can either get more dense and potentially destructive, or it can become conducive and potentially productive, almost always productive, right? So I've put together a sequence of meditations for us today that are going to help us work with that polarity, that are going to help us to soothe the parasympathetic nervous system, and that are going to invite and awaken and help us to individuate and cultivate and utilize this massive amount of energy that's at every crossroad that we find ourselves in. So in integrative practice work, it's really very, very, very much about having the power of a neutral mind, so that every time we hit a crossroad, we can recognize that it's a choice point and we can navigate wisely. So for this first meditation, this is all about soothing our parasympathetic nervous system. As always, we have a bunch of moving parts. You're going to create Gyan Mudra, which is the wisdom mudra. So you're creating this beautiful shape with the hands that is sending a signal of oneness into the brain function. oneness and harmony and equilibrium. Okay, you're going to be looking at the tip of the nose, as we commonly do, which hopefully at this point you've all realized how beneficial that is. So you're looking at the tip of the nose, you're sustaining the mudra with the hands and the arms, and then you're kind of squeezing your shoulder blades together as if you're holding a pencil in between the bones of the shoulder blades. If you were in the Qigong gathering yesterday, in some of the tiger form that we were doing that was opening the lung meridian, we were doing a very, very similar thing. So it's opening the chest, it's brightening the lung meridian, and it has an immediate effect on the parasympathetic nervous system. You're going to be working with a sound, hara, hara, and so every time you say hara, you're going to be pulling the navel back and slightly up. I'm going to turn on a track that's myself singing, rake, rakara, hara, hara. Okay, so this is a beautiful mantra that helps us in times of uncertainty. And so you're going to hear in the rake, rakahan, hara, you're going to hear hara, 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 kind of inside of the totality of the song, okay? So you'll find a rhythm that's in harmony with the track, and then you'll set the gaze, and we're going to stay inside of this meditation for a few minutes. This is going to really activate the system for a couple of the more vigorous meditations that will follow, okay? So create the shape, set the gaze, and I'll demonstrate here with the track. The last relay with the meditation here. Inhale deeply. Take the breath all the way down into the back of the kidneys, into the floor of the pelvis. into the bottom of your heart, into the center of your mind, and feel a quiet beingness radiating out from these places, hopefully being able to tune into the felt sense of the miracle of your own existence that's higher and wiser than any of the trauma triggers that we might be experiencing in our psyche and in our soma during this time. Tuning in as deeply as you can into the timeless part of the truth of who you are, the unchanging part of who you are. So just to speak before we move on, just to speak to the worthiness of this parasympathetic nervous system soother, you could do that for 30 minutes and not do anything else and have a very, very, very complete experience. Also remember that you can embrace these practices in their micro practice forms too, which means doing it for 3 minutes, maybe 5 or 7 minutes, maybe 11 minutes, and then getting back to whatever your responsibility is with a greater ability to respond because of the way that the meditation neutralized you, okay? It is so good, the medicine of these meditations. We're going to take another few cycles of breathing with the same mudra, tuning into this timeless essence. So you're just going to create the mudra, cross the hands and the wrists over the area of your heart center, and it's a little bit more challenging to access the squeeze of the shoulder blades, but reach into that feeling as much as you physically can, sitting up nice and straight. Create a circle shape with the mouth and with the lips. Drinking in the breath, holding on to the breath, allowing it to branch and pattern inside of the structure of your body, allowing the impulse of the inhalation to create a refreshment in the patterns of your mind. Exhale slowly out of the nostrils. Inhale deeply through the circle shape of the mouth. Hold on to it in no certain hurry to let it go. Exhale out of the nostrils. Squeeze the abdominal wall in, and one more time please on your own. And then exhaling entirely. Allow your body to relax as you tune in for a listen here. So in the old teachings, the old yogic teachings of the East, it's said that 33% of the physical organism is what could be referred to as sattvic. So if you were in the cooking tutorial on Tuesday where I was teaching you how to make some really truly sattvic foods, your sattvic nature is the part of you that is incandescent, that's totally pure, that is unadulterated, and that is capable of expressing itself in a way that's as density free as possible, okay? So it's said that we were 33% of this. But I want to remind you that when you do these kinds of practices, you are increasing that percentage. So it's happening bit by bit, by and by, with each practice, with each day of practice, with each methodology you engage with. You're going from 33, maybe to 43, maybe to 73. So more and more of who you are and what you are and how you are in the world is being impulsed by this illuminated part of who you are. You know, and as practitioners of these life ways, a lot begins to shift when we start creating a change in 10 to 20% of how we're using our time and our energy in our day. A lot begins to happen. Life begins to organize itself in a much more fascinating, meaningful, and impactful way. But what starts to happen if you catalyze a 30% shift in the way you're using your time? I think it's really important that we sign ourselves up for this kind of a percentage of engagement during this time of lockdown, so that we can utilize this training time and so that we can emerge having looked at our stuff, having shown up, having done the work, and having grown right? So really, I encourage you to continue to hit replay and do these things. Do them with your children, do them with your spouses, do them with the other people that you might be sheltering with right now, and let them help you. So I want to do a Kapalabhati practice. This is going to be an open mouth Kapalabhati practice, and we're going to do it with the victorious V-shaped full-armed mudra. So you want to curl the index, middle, ring, and pinky fingers into the palm of your hands and press as if you're pushing the fingers into a docking station. Okay, so plug in and let it activate you. Let it activate your avatar self. Okay, then you're going to take the arms up in a victorious V. I know how challenging it is to sustain this, and I want to be the voice that reminds you to stay the course. Practice the art of staying. Don't rocket ship out of the meditation. Let it burn you a little bit in a beauty way, okay? Because what it is that you find on the other side of the line is always useful. So watch. You're emphasizing your exhalation, and it's going to sound like this. Again, we're going to look at the tip of the nose. Okay, so we're going to stay inside of that for a little while. I may stop and start just because I'm handling our flow here at the mothership. But for yourself, continue to endure at a octane of full power as much as you can, okay? If you feel lightheaded or dizzy at any point, simply stop the breathing practice and then jump back in as soon as you can. Be sure that you're inhaling at least a little bit, okay, to keep yourself fully oxygenated. The inhalation is giving you the momentum to purify with the exhale. So you're purifying. And so the other side of purification is renewal. I know that when I do this practice, I feel incredible when I'm done. If you want to create a longer practice out of this Kapalabhati, try doing it for 1,000 pulses and see how crystalline you feel. See how like loose your fascia is after you do it. Okay, so plug your fingers in, create the V, set your gaze, inhale deeply. Wind the practice down. I want to tune in for one more quick cycle, and I'd like for you to explore the point of origin of your exhalation as arising a little bit more so out of the furnace of the belly, okay? Less out of the mouth, less out of the throat, and more out of the furnace of the belly, okay? So let's give that a try, just in short form, but let's check it out. So plug in, reach up, set the gaze, inhale deep. Three, two, and one. Good. Inhale deep. Hold the breath. And exhale complete. So this next practice I want to share with you is sometimes sweetly referred to as breathing gymnastics, which I think is adorable. We're going to be doing an interplay of alternate nostril breathing. This is going to create a rapid harmonization in the hemispheres of the brain, which is always necessary if we want to have neutrality, centrality, if we want to be in our most wakeful, individuated consciousness, okay? And if we want to be lifting the percentage of our sattvic self from 33 to much greater than that, okay? So you'll use the thumb of the right hand and the ring finger of the right hand to be alternately opening and closing the nostrils. We're going to be inhaling through one, exhaling through both, inhaling through both, and exhaling out of one, and then back in the same directional flow, which is actually creating an iconic breath pattern that is like a upward pointing arrow. Okay, so an upward pointing arrow, which is elevating your life force. You're lifting your life energy through this breathing technology. Okay, so I'm not going to demonstrate because you're not going to really see. I want to use our time for you to actually feel what's happening. So I'm going to just turn to the side so you can see how I'm doing this. I'm tucking my index finger and my middle finger into the center of the palm. They don't need to press, they're just directionally going into that place. And then we're going to seal the left nostril with the right ring finger and inhale deeply through the right nostril only. Seal your right nostril and hold the breath. Exhale out of both nostrils. So open both nostrils, exhale completely. Pause. Inhale through both nostrils. Seal the nostrils. Pause. Seal the right nostril with the thumb, open the left, and exhale entirely out of the left nostril. Seal the nostril and pause. Inhale left. Pause. Exhale both. Pause. Inhale both. Pause. Exhale right. Pause. Inhale right. Pause. Exhale both. Pause. Inhale both. Pause. Exhale left. Pause. Inhale left. Let it touch your molecular body and let it touch your energy body. Pause. Exhale both. Let the breathing gymnastics expand your bandwidth. Inhale both. Pause. Exhale right. Pause. One more cycle. Inhale right. Pause. Exhale both. Inhale both. And exhale left. At the completion of your exhale, float your right hand back down to the lap. And allow yourself to again have a moment of stillness, of resting in quiet beingness. So I'm going to give you one more mudra for today's meditation time together. So this is for clearing the subconscious mind, which is a necessary task if we're going to attain and sustain transformation in the way in which we think. And as practitioners of these techniques, we're interested in that. We're not just interested in doing the technique for the sake of doing a technique. We're interested in utilizing it as a tool to train us, to empower us to engage as much as possible throughout each and every day with the self-psychology that allows us to be more radiantly alive and more impactful on our path and in our spheres of influence. So you're going to weave your fingers up externally versus internally. So weave them up externally, soften the whole warp and weft of it, and then bring the tips of the thumbs together and bring this mudra with that opening there over your third chakra area, which is the house of your personal honor and your personal will and all the codes that have to do with that. Allowing your hands to reside over that radiant place, okay? And you're going to breathe in through the circular O-shaped lips and then exhale through the nose. Okay, so take that as deeply as you can. And I'm going to sing for us a mantra. This is the Gayatri mantra. This is a mantra worth tuning into every day during this time. Every day of every day, this is a worthy mantra. It helps us in so many ways to remember that whatever's happening out there and whatever's happening in here, we can do it. We have the inner resources to do it more, to do it better, to fail better, to show up, to do it again. Let yourself do it, deepening. Your breath return to a natural state. Bring your hands out of the mudra and into your lap. You can keep the eyes closed for another moment. Remember, in these next couple of days, to have it be a practice, a micro practice, a self-psychology practice that every time you witness yourself going into resistance, to remember, to reorient, to recalibrate, to realize that that moment of resistance is a great good assistant for you, and that it's the biodynamic that's perfectly encoded with all of the key ingredients for you to transform density of mind or outlook or emotion or sensation, to transform density into something conducive and productive, so that you can be one of the people who is changing the weather pattern, who is lifting the water level, who is becoming part of the cure by being clear. Thank you so much for being here in the room together in this way today. It's been a delight to share with you for 30 minutes. Tomorrow we'll meet again at 11:30 here at the Lighthouse. Sat Nam. Namaste. Have a beautiful sunny